Hello, welcome to March 29th, 2023. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily Good Life meditation video, something that I do every morning, a little bit after waking up, to remember my life objectives and principles, and to see how I did applying these to the challenges and opportunities of yesterday, and to plan for the coming day. And good morning, Parker. All right, feeling a little bit better today. I think I figured out what was going on in part. I think it's allergies snuck up on me as they do every year. Yumiko and I went to the beach after work yesterday to walk the dogs, and I was startled as I backed the car out to see how much the layer of pollen on the window, on the windshield. I remember seeing the same thing yesterday before, which I wiped off with wipers, and then it was back again the next day. So allergies, yeah, that explains a lot. It just happened to sneak in right at the tail end of COVID. So, all right, so let's begin. Still out of sorts. Yesterday was a tough day. Slept pretty good. Slept up until the alarm went off, mostly. Don't feel very rested. Hard day of work yesterday. I put more into the day before noon, and I was finished by noon. Just like an old sponge that had been used up. Fortunately, I didn't have too many meetings after that. I was able to take a walk at lunchtime with Yumiko and capture my strength, have my lunch, come back and organize my next steps. So I made good use of the time. It was a very productive day. Today's Wednesday. I'll get to it today in a minute. Let's do the good life. My 7 objectives, those that are outlined in my book, Going Alone, in the chapter titled The Good Life. The 7 objectives are: 1, to be always ready to die, to have my life affairs, my relationships, and my life's purpose in order. And I think they are. 2 is to make good and effective use of my time. This has been on my mind a lot lately. What does it mean to make good use of time? Struck by lately the image of all of us just, playing in the sand, digging holes, making sand castles, and digging for more sand. It seems like that's the busyness of it all. But there are those moments, right? Those moments of fraternity when we care and love for one another, and peace when a moment happens. So, like the other day, sitting outside in the sunshine on a warm day with my book. Ecstasy. So I guess it facilitates those things, right? Good use of time, I think, is whatever contributes to the improved opportunity for such moments for the lot of us, without doing so at the expense of others. Tough thing, right? Especially given, if you think about it, if you expand the scope beyond just us to the creatures we share the world with. Bigger thought than I can handle right now. Number 3 is to develop and maintain, third objective, that is, to develop and maintain good and sound life principles. That's what I do by making this exercise every day. 4 is to cultivate good emotional reactions. I was trying so hard yesterday. I was so exhausted by the end of that last morning meeting. Brain was gone. I was lost. I just couldn't keep up with what was going on. But I kept sober and straight and focused, camera on, looking at the camera, doing my best to follow along, keeping my notes. I don't think it would have been very evident that I was, to anyone watching, that I was faltering. I was soldiering on. Good emotional reactions. Next is to perform good actions, just to do good things throughout the day. And then to recognize my true limits and my true opportunities, what is within my reach and what is not. Focus on the things that I can touch. Or I can focus on the things that maybe I can't touch, but I can send out ripples that might influence. It's one of the reasons why I send out copies of Going Alone to people who ask for it, because I think it can help. I wish I'd encountered that story when I was young. Speaking of stories, just to let you know, I finished yesterday Jens Peter Jacobsen's book, Neils Lyhne, the second one there. Just say, I'll probably do a book review. I will do a book review. Perhaps the best story I've ever read. Best book, best. I won't get into the review now, but wow. Lastly, is to do just one last objective. Number 7, to do just one thing at a time, and do that thing slowly and deliberately and carefully. To never multitask. Or at least only multitask if I have good reason. Like, no, I can't. I'm trying to think of some silly example where I'm doing 2 things at once, like dialing 911 as I'm running out of the burning house carrying puppies. You get the idea, right? Multitask for a good cause. Like an example that I don't do, unless absolutely necessary, and I'm in a meeting. I do everything from home. I'm on camera. I don't multitask. I don't sit there and do email while I'm focusing on the meeting. I focus on the damn meeting, unless I absolutely have to. Emergency comes up and says, "So, can someone get an email out to so and so?" If I met someone, I'll do it. Otherwise, I just focus, participate, take notes, etc. Now my 34 principles. War, to always be fighting against things that I think are true. Reason, to be a reasonable human being in my approach to the world. And the sub-principles of reason are honesty, objectivity, doubt, and humiliation. To be an honest man, objective in my worldview, a fierce skeptic, and willing to accept my own, the recognition of my own mistakes and folly. Number 3 is the homunculus, the identification that though it appears I do not have a soul, none of us do, I do have a consciousness. 4, the anchor hold, the further recognition that my consciousness is trapped within me, that it won't escape. It's going to die with the ship, go down with me. The home of good and evil, right and wrong are opinions that reside in our minds. And they're subjective at their base core. It's good to work hard at them because they have great consequence upon our lives and the lives of others. And to work in a social manner to reach consensus as best we can with others, to create a system of laws and justice, striving for justice. Next is purpose. My 3 purpose are to be a good husband and father, to pursue virtue, or virtue is defined as activities to improve the well-being of thinking creatures, and to pursue my own personal goals, which are, at this point, the furthering of my story. I'm going alone, my barbaric yelp. Atomic principle, everything is made of bits and pieces. The principle of nature, everything and everyone has some nature, and it's good to recognize what that is so I can live in better accord with that. Deal with the world more as it is than I wish it to be, necessarily. Let me phrase that better. To deal with the world more as it really is, instead of dealing with it as I would hope or expect it to be. Which is sometimes sure to disappoint. Doesn't mean I shouldn't have high expectations or endeavors, but I think you get the point. Next is the principle of nature. Everyone and everything has some particular nature. I already talked about that one. And then the maturity of this pirate ride, no free will. It's an illusion. It's not that we're destined, but we are compatible with the universe at large. And then maturity, and the sub-principles of wisdom and fortitude, prudence, felicity, and is that right? No. Maturity consists of the sub-principles of wisdom, fortitude, and integrity. That's it. We are wise when we are mature when we wisely remember our past successes and failures, have the fortitude to do better, and can thus enjoy the integrity of a life lived in harmony with our values. Social principle, we are social creatures, we need each other. The sub-principles here are diplomacy, we need to work together towards a better understanding of what constitutes right and wrong on a social basis. Justice is the end that we seek. Diplomacy, justice, and then conspiracy. I feel like I'm missing one. And then conspiracy is when we link arms to make that justice real. Am I missing one? Maybe. Then comes the principle of family. It's good to create a nucleus of people in our lives. It's one of the kind of the three pillars of the whole thing, right? Family, purpose. What's the third? It's funny how this thing happens, and as it rises in your mind, you can see three without apprehending what they are necessarily. Family, purpose, virtue. Interesting. I need to think about that one. Yeah, it's good to have a family. Let's just think at that. Let's just hold it at that right now. I'm going to think about that one. I think I might be onto something here if I do say so myself. There, I did. Okay. And it doesn't have to be a family that you put a ring on necessarily. It can be a family of any sort that we create. But it does require compromise and effort and will. Then comes the public speaking and efforts towards better communication, listening as well as speaking and writing. And the sub-principles here are best words, to develop a rich and deep vocabulary and to use that vocabulary well. Prudence, the ability to filter our communication through our values. Felicity, the trick to season our communication with our emotions. Not overly, not too much, just enough. Eloquence, that comes of practice and modeling. Literature, which serves as the foundation for our understanding. It's good to read good books. Books that are literature. And then finally, two negatives, rumor and gossip. A reminder to not engage in either of those. Next comes temperance. That's right. Is that right? Is that right? Why do I feel like I'm about to miss something? Pirate nature, best seat, pirate ride, maturity, social principle, family, public speaking. Temperance, I think, is next. I don't want to miss it. Let me check. All these things were written in my book. I think temperance is next. Pirate, maturity, social principle, family. Yeah, it is. Maybe I should trust myself more. Temperance is the ability to control our consumption of all things in life, including our activities, to consume less. The sub-principles are to exercise restraint. Sometimes it's more important to be exercising the restraints than to consume less. The sub-principles here are suffering, simplicity, and apathy. Suffering because we suffer when we tell ourselves no. Simplicity because a simple life is a temperate life. And apathy, which is our ability to recognize what is beyond our control and to disengage our connection to those things. will not be emotionally connected to a sudden summer downpour. It'll be what it is, whether I'm caught indoors or enjoying it caught outdoors or enjoying it from inside. Next is life will not go well, and it won't. There'll be good moments, but there's going to be a lot of bad moments too. It's going to be speed bumps along the way. Life is tough. Then the horror show, a reminder that sometimes life goes bad to a horrifying level. Cancer, car accidents, dogs getting run over, whatever it is. And it's happening all around us too. People everywhere. And now it's coming for us if it's not here already. And it's just a reminder to be ready for it. That which must be born with any B-O-R, any. We have to carry the fact of the horror show and the fact that life will not go well. It's our burden to carry. The Feast of Offal, the lack of, or the resistance of the wish to spread our upset around in the world, to hold ourselves. What's after the Feast of Offal is, what's after it? Good gosh. Is it, I'm almost to that page. Feast of Offal. Distraction? Yeah, the principle of distraction. We spend our lives distracting ourselves to keep ourselves busy. That's what hobbies and sports and politics and gossip and all that stuff is for. Busy, 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 buzz, buzz, buzz. What are we distracting ourselves from? The responsibility of facing up to a universe without God. The aspect that God is not real. And what to do with our lives now that we're responsible, and now that no one's going to rescue us. That's what we distract ourselves from. And that distraction, that thing that we're distracting ourselves from, I call, and this is the next principle, the great indifference, the emptiness of the universe at large that we don't want to see, because it entails all that responsibility right on our shoulders. Most of us don't want that. Especially, we don't want the mortality that comes of realizing that we are soulless beasts. Another term from the book. So those are two principles there: distraction and agency, and the great indifference. Next comes the best seat in the house. That's right, that's one I sometimes missed. Yeah, recognition that, what is the best seat in the house? To be all right with who I am and where I am and what I'm doing. That's all it is. All the while striving for better. Next comes the restless man. That sense of restlessness that some of us feel in our late teens, early 20s, and through most of our lives, that we just can't seem to assuage, especially if we don't engage in adventure. And when we step up off the path of the settled and the sane into risky new life, that is the path of wildness on its way to a great life adventure, which is the consequence of stepping off the trail. And it becomes our story. The great life adventure does. So 3 that go together. Actually 4. The restless man, the path of wildness, the great life adventure. And number 4 is the risk of avoiding risk. Recognizing kind of a continuum there of risky life and safe and sane life. And there's a risk of doing too much of one or the other and feeling the imbalance. It's tough to do it right in the middle. I've struggled to do that. I think I've just barely pulled it off at the last minute, having got myself into a situation where I actually can retire. I could retire now. It'd be a humble retirement if I retired now, but if I wait a few more years, it'll be even better. I barely pulled that off. I almost missed that opportunity because I was going too far the other way. Next comes sin and damnation. That's right. Sin and damnation. There are 7 sins in my worldview. Are there 8? 7? Falsity, credulity, faith, superstition, dogma, authority, rumor, gossip. 8. Engaging in any of those things, and we wind up living a damned life. Damned because we're a damned liar, damned credulous fool, or damned rumor spreading gossip monger. Complete oblivion is next. With no soul and no God, then death is the end. We won't see our loved ones again. We won't have a chance to reconcile any differences with anyone who passed or who will pass after us, or no final justice. All we get is this one chance. Next comes the season of philosophy, which is a recognition that inspiration comes in flashes and moments, and better have the pen and paper ready to record it when it comes. Next comes the principle of script writing, which is the activity of forecasting and planning the moments in the day, hours, and the days ahead, modeling them in our minds. I'm not doing this as much as I'd like, but it is very helpful when I do it. Then comes the bullseye aim, a recognition that I usually strive for the mark but usually miss. I should expect that. I shouldn't get upset when I miss the mark. I should rejoice when I do hit the mark. The uphill climb, an endeavor to strive higher up the mountain today than I was yesterday. I do that through the list that I keep every day. Even on my days off, I have a list of to-do list. And I've climbed the mountain when I've completed those to-do items, at least the majority of them. And the ones that I didn't complete, I move them to the next day, top of the list. Arena and utility. Life is an arena for the development of principles that we can use in the pursuit of our objectives. Nothing is enough. A base and humble reminder toward simplicity. I know there's a deep, deep well in that principle, one that I have yet to explore. I think it's going to be explored when I get to Japan. I think that this second to last principle is a heavy-duty one. It's more like a placeholder full of potential for the years to come. And then finally and lastly, the principle of fun, a reminder to enjoy my day, and also to enjoy the memory of yesterday and the anticipation of days to come. That's it. That's my Good Life Creed. 7 objectives and 34 principles. Soon to be 35. I have a 35th to add. I just have to get some time to add it in. It's all in my head. All right, next, let's do a forecast of the day. Today's Wednesday. I have that same issue I've been pursuing all week, the same one that's been doggedly burning my brain out. I'll be pursuing that again today. I think I have myself organized in my plan ahead. I know what to do. And I'll do it. And I'll enjoy a nice walk with my wife at lunchtime, and we'll enjoy another walk on the beach maybe if it's not too windy in the evening. Have a nice dinner with her. And I'll just plow through the day. I'll make it a good day. I wish you all the best. Be safe, but not too safe. And with that, my life is done, if not finished. See ya.